You're watching Oilers Nation Everyday with Tyler Yaremchuk. Your one-stop shop for all things Oilers.
There's been a game already?
Nope.
Let's get into it with the lead. The lead today, the Oilers will be looking to avenge and get revenge and bounce back, whatever word you want to use. Opening night was ugly for the Oily boys. They're hoping game 2, the home opener, I might add, will be a little bit better. We didn't turn on the light.
To be fair, we're absolutely in shambles so far today. We were literally sprinting around until the show started.
Yeah, no, it's a mess. We are firmly in Mail It In Friday mode, but that's all good. The YouTube chat will carry us. Brought to you by Century Mile Racetrack and Casino. Our boy QF Pro is in. First comment of the day. Drink the Kool-Aid, hammer the over, and join the Discord. Code Nation Citizen. Sounds good, QF Pro. We are live, as always, from the Sports Closet Studio, and it's a Friday, which means our boy Bag Milk is in the house.
Hello,
Bag Milk's here.
Hello.
So whatever you want us to talk about with Bag Milk, you can drop that in the chat as well. D Cards is in. Let's go. He says, now we go. Now we go. In reference to the Oilers, hopefully getting back in the win column. Giddy up.
Giddy up indeed. Well,
one person said no audio and then said, oh, it's back. I feel like you might have muted your computer, Michael.
Did they punk us? Are we getting punked on our own show?
Pranksters.
Those jokesters.
We were scrambling before. I actually hit the power bar off.
Yeah,
literally at 12:01. I was trying to plug in the laptop.
But
big. Charges here though.
Yeah, I was
Damn
gonna
right
say. FICO was in, said, tell me someone remembered the charger. Yes, we have a charger, full bars. Internet seems to be working pretty good. So giddy up.
Tough day for chargers yesterday. I left mine at the office last night
Yeah,
too.
you did.
Yeah.
So I was chargerless, laptopless last night. I had some great things on my mind I was going to type out. Now we'll never know.
I will never know.
Although
And it's gone.
You were sitting in your gazebo.
Yes, I was sat in my new gazebo. It's a great little thing.
Liam's a gazebo guy now. I don't know if you heard about
Wow.
Yeah, I now own a gazebo.
Yeah, I got to drive Liam home the other night, and I got to see the humble abode.
It's a great
in
little
person.
home. The it also has a propane fire pit in fire
Really?
table. Sorry, not fire pit, fire
Ooh.
table.
Can't roast
Year-round
marshmallows.
gazebo.
Year-round gazebo.
You can't roast marshmallows on that.
You can.
Can't. Don't.
Says
Bad.
says who? You're telling
Challenge
me-
accepted.
What was that story you told me the other day when I was microwaving food that you once saw me put a metal container or something in?
Yeah,
like
you
that?
used to, when we went to Nate together, you used to put metal containers in.
Yeah, you can't do that.
I made it tell a tale. I
Yeah.
could roast a marshmallow over a propane fire if I have to.
All right. Sounds good. Yes, the lead today, the Oilers looking to bounce back after a home opener that left none of us satisfied. And we have some news to talk about with that in mind.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound like the Oilers are going to have to play a body short once again. They have placed Marcus Niemelainen on waivers. Oilers Nation reporter Matt Wozniak was the first one with the scoop when he stood up in our office and boldly proclaimed, hey, the Oilers put Niemelainen on waivers. And no one believed him. But the Oilers confirmed it. Nemo on waivers, so he's healthy, number one.
Yes.
He will, in all likelihood, clear. We have seen better defensemen than Marcus Niemelainen get through waivers. But the biggest thing in all of this is, A, it's a sign that Mattias Ekholm is probably going to play. We saw him leading the stretches at Oilers skate today. Jason Gregor, the real Oilers Nation reporter, said Ekholm with Bouchard and drills, good chance Ekholm plays tomorrow. That is big. Bag Milk. We got 60 minutes of Ekholmless hockey, and I never want to see it again.
It's amazing how a team looks without their best defenseman.
Mhm.
You know, it's not good. It's not great. Or is it Adam Ernie season?
It should never ever have been that bad without
No,
Ekholm.
100%.
That is unbelievable. That one player, and I'm sure the Oilers would have probably still lost that game with just the way everybody played if Ekholm was in the lineup.
Yep.
But boy, oh boy, it should never look that bad when one player is out.
Chances are it would have been like 6-1 instead of 8-1 if Ekholm was playing.
Yeah,
So that's an
exactly.
improvement, you know?
Exactly.
You take it.
Bring Cassian home. Are we getting
my
Gleason or Peterson? No. I think the Niemelainen move, actually, it might allow them to call up a forward.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, it should.
give him
It
a
should.
$1 million bucks.
Yeah.
Oh, if it's not Lavoie, it'd be hilarious. just
Hey.
for the lols.
Daniel Nugent-Bowman kind of made it sound in the last piece that he wrote that he's not the guy, that Lavoie isn't considered the 12th forward.
So then is it
on the
Adam
team.
Ernie season?
Well, if it would have been
so.
Ernie season, I think they would have had to sign him and put him on waivers today, right? To get the contract through.
I don't know how any of this works. I like
Yeah.
to just say
That
things out
sounds
loud.
right, Tyler. That sounds right. to
Yeah,
me.
so my best guess would be that we see Lane Peterson recalled, actually. So yes, bring Cassian home. I think we are going to see a Lane Peterson recall at some point ahead of tomorrow's game, but we'll see. Is that a mistake in your mind if they go Peterson over Lavoie?
Peterson, no, because I think they need a fourth line center.
Yeah.
If they want to play 12 and 6 or whatever, right? Like
Unless Janmark can be that guy.
unless Janmark can be that guy, but I don't know if I would be doing too many experiments after the embarrassment on Wednesday.
Yeah,
night.
you want to go out and
want
right
your
the ship.
lineup.
You want to right the ship.
Are you saying we should blow it up?
So yeah, the Oilers
Not
project
quite.
cap space right now for the Oilers, $395,000 with Niemelainen sent down. That'll put them at just over $1 million, so they can call up whoever they want.
Yeah, they've got room to wiggle with, which this team has not been able to do.
Yeah.
For a while. Room to wiggle with, and they literally have 20 players.
You'll have one extra body, which is nice.
Yeah.
Ekholm back though, massive boost. The Oilers were also at their skate today, rocking the Heritage Classic
Can I
equipment.
ask you a question about Ekholm though? Are you like concerned that like, hey, game one was real bad. We need you whether you're ready or not.
I think he would have played. They've been saying the whole time if it was like a really impactful, meaningful game, he would have played.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, I
I'm not
don't
too bothered.
think I'm worried about that. If
Just
you
asking the question.
You gotta ask.
Yeah, I think it is a totally fair question. I would certainly hope that the organization, the coaching staff, even Ekholm aren't freaking out about one loss. It was an ugly one. It was about as ugly of a loss as I've ever seen the Oilers suffer. But again, you need to remember whether you lose 8-1 or you lose 2-1, a loss is a loss at this point. It's game one of the regular season. So it is a good question, though. We threw it in the chat on YouTube. So if you're on the Century Mile Racetrack and Casino YouTube chat, you can go throw a vote in there. Our poll for the day. Are you worried about Ekholm's health?
So you spell poll. Yes.
He's a Viking. I'm not worried about that guy. He's played through worse, right?
Yeah.
Phantom?
Well, he's never really missed games. And was essentially, yes. But throughout his NHL career, have you got something?
Yeah, Frank just texted me and said Niemelainen's on waivers.
Thanks, Frank.
Matt
Thank you.
And he got
Wozniak
scooped by Woz.
Wasn't out of you, buddy.
Yeah, per Matt Wozniak.
Hey, speaking of Matt Wozniak, Bag Milk,
Yeah.
you want to tell the people about what our buddy did yesterday?
Listen, if you haven't seen Waz's content from going to get his Derek Ryan jersey signed last night at the autograph session, it is absolutely hilarious. I was following it on the edge of my seat all night. He had a countdown piece today of like what the timing was and when
Oh,
he
I saw
started at
that.
like 6:30 or whatever. He's just loving that we're talking
I
about him
know.
outside too. And right down to the wire. Good guy
Good.
Derek Ryan signed after the deadline.
I like that Derek Ryan, he like pointed out, he's like, you don't see many of those over there. So we made sure to. And look at our boy
Wow.
on screen.
Thrilled.
He looks very, very happy, as he
looks
should
so
be.
happy.
What do you
he'll-
think of these? Sorry, go ahead.
He also has a signed Derek Ryan player card on his desk
That
now.
is true. What do you think of these autograph sessions?
In
Like-
what respect?
In the sense of, okay, so Woz was in the line from 6 o'clock, I think, at the time it started, right? But then he got so close and they cut it off at 8 o'clock. Do you think it'd be better? I think that's a bit unfair to fans.
You need to cut it off at the back of the
I
line.
think that's
Yeah.
what I would do, is not put a time limit on it. You just need someone to be there and be like, hey, line's cut off. Sorry, no more entries. And then when you get through there, because then you get disappointed people.
Well-
Obviously, big lines are going to be bigger for different players, but you
Mhm.
got to figure it out from there.
Like some of the people lining up at like 8 a.m., like Connor
know.
Halley, obviously he's at Sports 1440 all day. So he
Yeah.
was there on the scene and he was taking pictures of people lining up for Connor and Leon at like 8 a.m.
Dude, that's crazy.
Would you go that early? I think
I wouldn't line
if
up
I had,
that
like,
long
kids
for
and stuff, I
anything
would.
ever.
Yeah.
No.
Ever.
I'm with BM.
But did you see the people who took the PlayStation? It's a good
That was
idea.
hilarious. I like
That's a
that.
good idea.
You mean these guys?
Yes,
Boom.
I do.
Look at that.
Yeah,
Not a
Woz
bad
was posting
idea.
a lot of content with those guys. I mean, sure. And when you're that age too, like it's kind of
It's
a fun
fun,
way to
yeah.
spend a day with
They
your boys,
Skip
right?
School.
I was going to say they're not at school, clearly.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there you go. Playing
No,
video games.
Ask Chalmers. It's probably a PD day. But yeah, I mean, when you're that age, I think it's fun. But I'm with Bag Milk. There is pretty much nothing I would ever stand in a line of more than like 3 hours for.
Nothing on earth. I would
think I've ever
never.
Whoa,
done
whoa,
that.
whoa, whoa, whoa.
Oh.
I once stood out in the dead winter cold outside Zellers to get my Nintendo Wii back in the day, and I stand by that. I was out there for like 6 hours. And it was worth it. It was worth it.
Damn. Let us know in the chat, actually. That might be a fun little
Yeah.
talking point. What's the longest you've ever like camped out for something, stood in line for something? I've never done anything like that. I think there was one year I waited in line like 45 minutes for the NHL game at a midnight release. And like that might be the most I've ever done.
Like everybody, I've talked about it a bunch on Real Life and on ONR. But like I love Blink-182. Everybody knows I
Yep.
do.
New song today.
New song. It's But I went to the concert in June and I wanted to buy merch. And when I saw the line, I went, nope. And I went back to my seat and ordered online. Will not stand in lines for stuff. Will not.
Concert t-shirts, the way to do it is, hey, like you're going to the concert usually ahead of time if you love the band, like pretty far ahead of time.
Yeah.
Order the shirt like a month before and then you can wear it to the concert.
Well, they do a different thing where every single night they release a new tee for
really?
that specific venue.
I guess pretty
That's how
sick
they
then.
get you.
That's how they get you.
All right, back to the Oilers talk here for a second. The results of the poll, 68% of you not worried about Mattias Ekholm's health. Megabird is in. I stood in line for Draisaitl at 6 a.m. at the mall, and the signing was at like 2 p.m. That was a few years ago. That is commitment. Naeem says, stood in line for a Harry Potter book release at midnight.
What's it?
Damn.
I
That's commitment.
Was it the
interesting
Philosopher's Stone?
I don't even
Is actually
know.
the Sorcerer's Stone.
Could you?
Oh.
Oh, really?
Well, it's the same. It's two different titles. In Europe, I think it's the Sorcerer's Stone, but in North America, it's the
Hey, where are we,
Philosopher's
buddy? Where are we right now?
Stone. Where are the origins, Aaron? Where are the
Oh,
origins?
you're right.
Oh, I can't come back.
I know. Who else is in? FICO says, when I was young, my wife, she stood in line for 10 hours to get Rolling Stones tickets. That is also commitment.
I would never.
Now you just have to log in on your laptop and you get put in a chair.
Yeah, like-
and
Yeah.
hope for the best.
Thankfully, we're young enough that we didn't have to do the stand in line for tickets and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that is a good
Yeah, we're
point.
in virtual lines now.
Yeah, I'll
which
just
are
leave-
arguably as frustrating.
Yeah, I'll just keep a tab open. It's fine.
Yeah. That's exactly it. All right. The Oilers got shit stomped 8-1 by the Vancouver Canucks on opening night. It was not a lot of fun
No, it was
for us
not.
at our watch party, but here's an interesting chance for retribution. Our boys at Canucks Army are having their watch party at Greta in Vancouver tomorrow night. Huh. Wouldn't that be a fun little piece of revenge?
Be a good way to get it back at them, I think.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, nothing drops a turd in the punch bowl quite like an 8-1 loss.
Mm-hmm. It was tough. Brock Besser scored 4 goals. That's really good. We're going to get set for all of this in a few minutes with our boy David Quadrelli. He's going to be stopping by the studio. We also have a big list coming up a little bit later on the show, so we're going to be doing that. And it's inspired by a topic Bag Milk had on his on Better Late Than Never this week. You can find that wherever you get your podcast from. But let's welcome in our boy David Quadrelli. His appearance is brought to you by Star Mechanical, Edmonton's #1 plumbing and heating company. Get in here, Quads. Edmonton's #1 plumbing and heating company. You can find out more about them at starmechanical.ca. If you need 24/7 emergency repair, you can get it by giving them a ring. 780-481-8873.
Looks like that. The magic of technology.
Did
Yeah.
I get that? I think I got that.
Brandon Manning.
Yeah,
and
I think
Vinny
you got
D.
that right. I'm
Yeah,
pretty sure you got
Brandon
that
Manning,
number.
Vinny D. Yeah.
Yeah.
Brandon Davidson, sorry.
Quads, get that mic nice and close to your face. Come
What
on
do I
now.
do with my hands?
Just bring it. Come on. You can drag the whole thing over. It's just a stand. David Quadrelli in town to cover tomorrow night's game between the Oilers and Canucks. Quads, welcome. What do you think of our studio?
I really like it. I did my show in here last year. This is my 3rd year coming out to Edmonton because they always open the season here. And it was just a white wall before. So you've done a
We laid the
very
bricks
good job.
ourselves.
Yeah,
Yeah.
those are real bricks, Quad.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I can tell. This is
Don't touch 'em.
great.
Don't look at the other corner.
That's a
down there.
load-bearing brick
Oh,
over there. Don't touch that.
Don't pull that one out. All right, so we got like a loaded studio here. There's a lot of people, but it's a big game for the Oilers tomorrow night. They're looking to bounce back from a Canucks perspective. An 8-1 win on opening night. You probably didn't see that coming. What was the most surprising part of that effort from the Canucks?
Other than the final score, I would say the defensive structure from the team, because we've seen it, we've heard it. You guys all followed the Bruce Boudreau situation very closely. We saw the management regime be very disconnected and not really like what they were seeing from Bruce Boudreau. And I don't know if everybody knows this, but it was the Canucks owner, Francesco Aquilini, that hired Bruce Boudreau, and Rutherford shared with everybody that he thought the contract was for 1 year. So they brought Bruce back, but that was not what the management regime wanted. Like when Rutherford took the job in Vancouver, his understanding was that Bruce was there for the end of the season and then he would be able to go get a coach. That wasn't the case. So you could see the disconnect. It was always going to be a tough season once that kind of came out, because it was just weird. Like it was very weird vibes in Vancouver last year. Now they've kind of had their hands on the team. They got their coach in Rick Tocchet, who they like and know from their Pittsburgh days. And when he was hired, we were hearing all this stuff about structure, habits, all this stuff. And look, the Canucks had some horrible structure and they had some horrible habits last season, especially. So we saw them really clean that up toward the end of the year. But even at that point, we were still seeing Elias Pettersson, Quinn Hughes, these guys playing like 30 minutes a night. And we knew that was going to be what it took for success. I think the most surprising thing was Quinn Hughes played 21 minutes of ice time in that 8-1 win.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that they were up by so many really meant that they could spread the minutes around towards the end of that hockey game. You mentioned the defensive structure. BM, from an Oilers perspective, probably one of the more frustrating parts of that hockey game was the fact that they basically didn't get a quality scoring chance at 5-on-5.
No, because that would have meant that they had to pass to each other instead of directly to the Vancouver Canucks. So no, that's very, very difficult. I found that, I mean, everything on the execution side from the Oilers in all three zones was poor, and it directly translated into 0 scoring chances.
There was,
I say go for it.
Yeah, I say Rocket.
props.
just coming
And
into
the
the
Canucks
studio
won
and
one.
Canucks win one game, and all of a sudden Quads can wear a crown.
Yeah.
Great stuff is happening.
Why do we
this
even
year.
have that?
It's mine.
Crown Royal.
Oh, it's Liam.
Oh, it wasn't for me?
Crown Royal.
Oh, I thought this was intentionally put there for me.
No, yeah, the gavel's
Looks
there
like I
for
have
you
a
too.
gavel too.
Yeah.
Here
Those are
he
my
is.
props.
What are we going to do with that crown? I feel like we had an idea for a good bit and then we just totally lost
This is it.
This is it. Just have Quads wear it whenever he shows up.
That's right.
Whoever's in that sponsor. All right,
There you
Quads. Well, if you're wearing a crown, you got to keep giving us good analysis on the Canucks. I was really impressed with Thatcher Demko in that game, even though he wasn't pushed hard. He was under the weather and still found a way to be very, very effective. I think he holds the keys to a successful Canucks season. Like if that dude is healthy, he's a Vezina caliber goalie. If the Canucks have a Vezina caliber goalie, I think they're a playoff team. Is that fair?
You're absolutely right. And again, in a similar 21's the number we're throwing around, 21 saves for Thatcher Demko. 22 shots against.
Yeah.
I can't tell you the last time that happened. I know he didn't play the full game, but when we talked to Thatcher before the season, you know, he's not grumpy. I don't want to call him grumpy, but he doesn't love talking to the media. But he basically said, just like, look, everybody makes a big deal of my start last year. I had 12 bad games. And if you look at it, he's had 12 bad games in his career, and they all happened at the start of last season when, look, I think, and I think Saravalli also threw this out, I'm not reporting anything, but I think Demko was playing through something that got worse, and he nearly completely tore his groin on that December 2nd game against the Florida Panthers. And look, when he was struggling already and then he went down, you're relying on Colin Delia and Spencer Martin at that point to carry the load behind a very porous defense group and just a team that wasn't very good last year. They're going to need Thatcher Demko to make 30 plus saves. They're going to need Quinn Hughes to play 27 plus minutes a night. I'm a little surprised that neither of those things had to happen on that opening night, but you're right. Thatcher Demko is going to be very, very crucial to a good season for the Vancouver Canucks.
Yeah, like he's a problem. He's the reason why heading into that game, I kind of said on pregame and with Boardsy, like if there's any reason to be concerned about the Canucks heading into that game, I thought it was just Demko. I didn't think it was their ability to score 8 goals in a single hockey game, but a guy like Brock Besser, man, that's got to feel good for him. Like he's gone through so much over the last couple of years that to see him really start this season on the right foot, that's huge for Vancouver. Yeah,
and I don't want to rehash everything that Brock's been through, but everybody knows the stories. It's been years on end where it's like, okay, Brock, how was your summer? What tragedy struck you and your family this summer? And I'm not trying to make light of that, of course, but he's just had such a tough time being able to just clear his head to no fault of his own. Like, again, I won't go through everything, but like just quickly, like his dad got T-boned. His dad had Parkinson's. His dad had cancer. And then his dad eventually passed away. And you just saw how much that was affecting Brock. And he's opened up about this.
Yeah.
And just this summer, he came in, obviously last year there was the trade request, right? And the agent, Ben Hankinson, was given permission to go look for a trade elsewhere. Nothing came of that. And by the end of the year with Tocchet, with the way things were going with the new management regime, Brock rescinded his trade request. He said like, hey, I want to be here. This is where I want to be. He went into the offseason. He looks 2 steps faster than he has been since his rookie year. Look, everybody knows what happened to his back, right? Like when you have your back surgically repaired the way he did, his lower back with that injury he had in his rookie year, when your number one tool is your shot, that really affects your shot. Like that really affects how much torque you can get. And we saw that with Brock. So look, he's probably not going to be the 40 goal scorer that we all thought he was going to be in his rookie year and when he was drafted, but his two-way game is so underrated. And look, his line was hard matched against McDavid in that game, right? And they did an exceptional job. His two-way game's taken a lot of steps. He was awful last year with JT Miller. JT Miller got all the attention because he also slams his stick and pouts, but Besser was equally as bad defensively, and that also really cost the Canucks last year. So I think the fact that they were so good in that game on the defensive side of the puck, obviously the 4 goals is nice too, but
that helps.
That was the thing that I was most impressed by Brock Besser was him and JC Miller together being the Canucks main shutdown line. That was really impressive to see.
Hey, I got to ask you a question. I see you chat. I'm asking. Quads, what's the deal with Vancouver and Mark Messier?
So,
yeah, what's the story there? Because he wasn't.
Yeah,
we
do
were
you guys not
joking
know
on
this?
Real Life.
We were talking about this on Real Life, so the chat's bringing it up. So now I'm asking.
Yeah. So I'll try to do it justice. So quickly to preface, the Canucks just named Quinn Hughes their captain.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Every promotional graphic showed every single captain except for Mark Messier. Mark Messier was the only captain not shown in arena before that game. I'm not sure if it was on the broadcast. They show all the captains. Mark Messier is the only captain not included in any promotional graphic. You will not find Mark Messier's face anywhere in that building. The reason for it is because he came in, and I don't know if you guys have seen this. He had I hope I'm not doing defamation here, but there's like a napkin that had his contract demands written on it. And one of them was that he would get to wear number 11, which was soft retired because Wayne Mackey had passed away. And he said, nope, I want it. So he took number 11. So that was off to a rocky start. He comes in, he takes the captaincy away from Trevor Linden, who everybody in the city loved at that
All-time
point.
Canuck.
All-time Canuck, and Mark wanted to see. Like that was also another thing in his contract demand. And all of this happened because the Canucks didn't get Wayne Gretzky. And I don't know how much you guys know the story here, but the Canucks were very, very, very close to landing Wayne Gretzky. Then there was the whole thing with Mike Keenan. So Mike Keenan and Mark Messier are both equally hated in Vancouver because, look, they had high expectations. They come in. I don't know how much of it was they thought they were getting Gretzky and ended up getting Mark Messier, but he came in, didn't play exceptionally well, and they were some really bad years in Vancouver. And then basically what happened was that team looked like it was up and coming, and then it got destroyed by Mark Messier, and then Mark Messier left, and then they started being good again. So everybody just kind of looks at those years like, okay, you drove Trevor Linden out of town. You did all these things where Mike Keenan takes over and all. It was a gong show. You think it's a gong show now. It was a gong show back then. That was some of the worst. That was like some of the worst era of Canucks hockey was when Mark Messier was there. So look, whether rightly or wrongly, I'm not here to tell you.
Wrongly.
Yeah, sure.
In our opinion.
Yeah, like, okay.
Allegedly.
And Canucks fans are going to hate me for this. This is a guy who is a Hall of Famer. Okay. He came to your city. Mark Messier, as far as I know, has never said a bad thing about Vancouver. And look, I know all the Canucks fans are going to be on me for this right now.
That's okay. I don't think any of them are
I'm
watching.
just saying, it's a Hall of Famer that was in your city. And look, I know all the Canucks fans are going to say, you weren't even around. Like, I wasn't born when Mark Messier was here. So look, I get it. But to some extent, I'm also like, okay, this is a Hall of Famer. But I do love the erasure of Mark Messier. I will.
The pettiness is respectable.
I do love it. Like, I love that it's top down. If there's one thing that the Canucks organization is aligned on, and I'm not sure there's one, but if there is one, it's Mark Messier he's not a part of the organization anymore.
Wasn't the Gretzky trade under Brian Burke? Is that when it was?
No,
was
I
a
don't
different
think
one?
Burke was the GM at that time. So there's a podcast by Scott Rintoul. I don't know if you guys know who
Yeah, I know
Scott Rintoul is. He did an exceptional job. He recapped the West Coast Express era, and it's like an eight-part series. And he spent a lot of time talking about the build up to that. So he goes quite in depth on the Mark Messier era. So Oilers fans, I know people are curious. If you want to hear it from someone who was actually there and really has a really good handle on it, like Scott was covering the team when this was all happening. Go listen to that podcast. The first 2 episodes, it details Gretzky's on the podcast. Like Gretzky comes on and explains it from his perspective. And And it's a really good listen. It's a really, really good listen, but I do not think it was Burke at the time.
I'm sure I heard that in his book. I can't remember.
No.
But either way, I have another question about the Canucks. What's the deal with Connor Garland?
Yeah, I was going to say, let's get
Yeah.
into the dysfunction of today.
Like, so on top of that too, there must have been a little bit of hesitancy going into the season because there was the reports on Pedersen from Freeman being like, neither team is committed.
Yeah.
And then there was the Connor Garland thing, I think the same week. It's like,
Yeah.
are we really going to do this shit all over again? Then you go and do what you did to us anyway.
So I do think the Connor Garland stuff has taken on a life of its own. It's been it's been blown a little bit out of proportion. Like, we all knew in Vancouver that the Canucks were trying to trade Connor Garland. They have been basically since this management regime came in. Like, look, they're not even shy about it. Rutherford's opening press conference was, yeah, we got some work done like a day after they traded Tanner Pearson. And they said, but there's still about 2 contracts we'd like to get out from. This is the president of hockey ops coming out and saying, yeah, there's 2 guys on this team who we do not like. We do not want these guys here. Tyler Myers expires at the end of this year. Connor Garland has 3 years, including this one at 4.95. I'm guessing those are the 2 contracts that they want to get out from. Connor Garland is a good 5-on-5 producer. He had the either same amount or more 5-on-5 points than JT Miller did last year. And that always gets thrown under the radar, is that this is a guy who doesn't get first power play time, doesn't play consistent minutes in the top 6. And look, I'll be honest here. A big critique of the Benning regime was that they would go get guys the owner has heard of. They would go get like Braden Holtby, all these guys, Jay Beagle. They would go get guys that look really good in their current spots, but they didn't have any real roster building plan, which was what really flawed the Canucks for years. And they go get Connor Garland, who great. He's a great top 6 forward, but then he didn't mesh in the top 6. Like, for whatever reason, Connor Garland has not been able to play consistent minutes with Elias Pettersson. We saw last night or 2 nights ago that ridiculous lob pass that Pettersson threw to Garland. That's a great highlight. But what gets blown under the radar there a little bit, or flies under the radar, is that Garland took that to the backhand and put it in. He's a good player. Like, a lot of guys can't finish that play, that alley-oop pass that Pettersson sent him. Garland is a good player, and I think that's what kind of gets thrown away a little bit, is that he's a really good 5-on-5 producer, and he gets no power play time. So I'm just curious what's going to happen to him. Look, they're trying to shop him. They have been forever. He's owed $6 million in real dollars this year, so his agent's on it. Yeah, great. Good luck. Like, they've been trying to do it. It's not like there's been, and look, I think Dhaliwal and Friedman both reported there's been no trade requests. It's just a situation where both sides look at it and say, okay, there's probably a better fit for both parties elsewhere.
I don't think they're going to find it. I think you'll have a hell of a time. 4.9 mil.
There's 6 teams that can take on that cap hit right now. And by my count, 3 of them are teams that might actually want him. Nashville, Buffalo, Detroit are the 3
Buffalo's
teams.
going to sign Kane, so no. But the Nashville one's actually somewhat interesting.
Exactly.
He feels like he could be maybe a bit of a Barry Trotz guy.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't hate that.
A team that doesn't truly know what they are.
What are you expecting tomorrow night?
So I've talked to people in the office a lot about this. And like, I want to make this clear. I'm not a Canucks fan. Like,
Liar.
I always make this very clear.
Liar.
I grew up a Canucks fan.
Liar.
But when you cover the team,
Grow up, you're still a toddler. You fit in my pocket.
Yeah, come on. Your feet don't touch the ground on the couch, Quads.
What I wanted to say is that when I was watching that game, I saw a lot of hard matching by the Canucks. And with Travis Green and Rick Tocchet, they're very similar coaches. I saw them hard matching the McDavid line, the Draisaitl line. I saw them hard matching that line. And look, your home team, you have the right to do that. They're on a 5-game road trip here. I think we're about to see the Canucks get very exposed. I think the Canucks need to hope that Carson Soucy heals up fast, because the third pair of Noah Juulsen and Nikita Hirose was downright awful in a game where it was hard for anybody to look awful. Tyler Myers looked very, very bad in top 4 minutes. Like, he was very bad. I had people messaging me, like friends of mine that are watching this game. They're like, how are we having Tyler Myers in the top 4 for another straight year? And I say, you know what? I don't know, because I've been a big fan of Tyler Myers, like probably the biggest fan in the media of Tyler Myers for years, always defending him. He looked lost. He looked lost on opening night. And Hughes and Hronek as a defense pairing was never supposed to happen. and it happened. Like Aaron does our show every day, and we were talking
Defense by committee.
Defense by committee. We spent a week talking about that because It's like, nope, Hughes and Hronek aren't playing together. It's going to be a cycle of partners for Quinn Hughes. Okay, here we go again. Hughes and Hronek go together.
Game 1.
I said this to Aaron, and I said it to Chris on our show. That's going to be the best defense pairing in the NHL by November. It's going to have that title of this is the best defense pairing because whatever pairing Hughes has been on over the past 3 years, he has not had a regular defense partner since Chris Tanev. He's had Luke Schenn, who is not a top pairing defenseman, and he's turned Luke Schenn into a top pairing defenseman. Like, just think about that. This guy's in the Norris conversation. This guy is, he's a perennial elite number 1 defenseman, but he's had no proper defense partner. Now you have an actual 2-3 guy in Philip Hronek. This is going to be the best defense pairing in the league by November.
Best defense pairing in the league.
Absolutely.
And he's going to score 20 goals.
I'm not a Canucks fan, he says 3 seconds ago.
Makar and Taves.
Okay, Makar and Taves is fine. Makar and Taves is fine, but look, okay, that's fine.
Dude.
Maybe in the Pacific.
There you go. I'll back you on in the Pacific.
What I should have said is it's going to be in the conversation. And Hughes, like, no one's ever said, oh, that Hughes and Noah Juleson pairing, that's a great look at their numbers, even though they've been good. No one said, Juleson and Hughes, that's the best defense pairing in the league because he's never had a regular defense partner. Now you have an actual pairing where it's going to enter the conversation of that Taves and Makar. But to answer your actual question, which I've dodged for a while here, the hard matchups that the Oilers are going to get to use against the Canucks, like the Canucks still have a flawed roster. I think the Canucks played very well in that game. But look, if Edmonton's able to see, okay, you've got Hirose and Juleson out there, here's Connor McDavid, I think that's a goal like 8 out of 10 times. Like,
yeah,
I think the Canucks are going to lose that advantage, and that was that was the biggest thing that was working in their favor in the home opener. And now that Edmonton has it, look, I give my prediction to Waz that it's a 4-2 Canucks win. I really don't think the Canucks are going to win.
Just trying to save face.
Yeah, I got to still pick my Canucks.
Yeah. Oh, but you're not a fan.
My Canucks.
Brad Neski's in. Can we stop with the Canucks talk and just talk about how they're going to get their ass whooped tomorrow night? BM, are you backing this thing up with your bankroll?
Got to.
Well,
first I got to do a little shame reload.
Yeah.
Wednesday was not nice.
Worst. That's the worst.
Yeah, that was always stink.
Wednesday was not nice to me.
No.
I bet with my heart heavy on Wednesday.
I lost every bet I made on Wednesday.
Yeah. The only bet I won on Wednesday was over 1.5 total power play goals. And most of that was the Canucks.
You saw one go through the hoop. That's all you need. That's all you need. You bounce back. I got a question for Quads.
Okay.
It's about the Canucks penalty kill because last year it was, for lack of a better word, poop. It was historically bad. They brought in Teddy Bluger. They brought in guys like Carson Soucy, Sam Lafferty. But the first 2 names I just said there didn't play game 1, and the penalty kill looked vastly improved. Yeah. Why do you think that was?
So they worked a lot, and it was so funny because in training camp, everybody was asking, like, okay, who's looking bad? It's like they're actually all walking on the ice. Like they're standing there, and Adam Foote is pointing people in directions. And I think coaching is the biggest thing that we've seen take a difference. Like you've got Sergei Gonchar, you've got these Olympians, these cup winners, all these guys that are teaching these new guys that are coming in, and also the older guys that have been here, what they can do differently. And the Canucks penalty kill systematically has looked better. Like, I don't want to say that personnel doesn't matter because it obviously does, but there was just
structure matters too.
There were so many instances last year where they just looked lost. Like it looked like the penalty killers didn't know where they were supposed to go. Like, even if you think about it, guys, the goal that was given up by the Canucks penalty kill in the last game, how do you stop that? That's Leon Draisaitl doing something that maybe 5 players in the league can do, shooting from 5 centimeters up from the goal line. Like that was also Demko almost got there because his post integration ability is off the charts. But that shot that he had was just like, I don't think they got back to the bench and were like, yeah, the penalty kill, we should have had that one. Like, I think even on that goal, they looked good. And that's a really good sign. Like, Aaron, you do our show every day. You've heard us talk about how that's, along with Demko, that's going to be one of the biggest things that needs to go right for them this year. And so far, so good. But yeah, like I said, when it comes to the personnel, it helps. But I think most of all, it's the coaching that we've seen and the actual systems that they have in place now that are going to help out.
All right. I'm going to let you guys go right away because I know you guys have somewhere to be at 12:45. Mark Spector.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Mark Spector with some breaking news. He says it's expected Adam Ernie will be signed before the game tomorrow. After Niemelainen clears, Ekholm likely to play Saturday, as could Ernie. So it sounds like Adam Ernie is going to be in the lineup. So look out.
Can I ask you guys a question?
Sure.
Sorry, I know we gotta go.
Yeah.
I gotta ask you guys a question because I'm very curious. I've heard all this stuff about the Oilers switching their defensive system from man to man to zone. Look, we all know they looked lost in the defensive zone last game. I know Ekholm was out. That's obviously going to hurt, but the forward is supposed to be coming lower than I think we actually saw in that game. How much did they work on it in preseason? Like, did they look this discombobulated?
I don't think they took the
with their
preseason
system?
seriously enough.
So
I
if
honestly
you're
think that's
changing
part of it.
systems, why was there no proper work being done? Like, how much of this, and commenters I want to hear from too, how much of this actually had to do with them changing up their system?
I think probably a bit of both, but I think my biggest takeaway from it was just the fact none of them actually were working hard at all to achieve anything in that game. So I think it's hard to put anything on the system when guys aren't even going to the net with the sticks on the ice.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
You
like,
know?
system is one thing, but the complete lack of execution in all zones was by far the biggest cause of that loss.
Yeah, like, I mean, turnovers don't necessarily always have something to do with the defensive structure.
Yeah.
I think there were some points where the wingers maybe weren't in great spots and it caused the D-men to be a little bit like, what the hell is going on here? But I think they'll be fine. Like, again, for this Oilers team, the regular season really doesn't matter. Like, they'll get in.
I also have to say that, and BM can attest to this, my cup prediction was the Oilers to win the cup.
Let's go.
Now, another question for you guys. Sorry to do this, but
No, it's fine.
I base that almost entirely off of how much I believe in Stuart Skinner. I get ripped. I come here every October. This is my third year being here. I always come on your shows, and I always get ripped for saying, yeah, it's great that the Oilers have this great team, but they don't have a goaltender. And then when they signed Jack Campbell, I said the same thing. It pissed people off quite a bit. I really believe in Stuart Skinner, and I'm curious what your guys' take on this is, because I was not entirely off of, because obviously McDavid and Draisaitl are pretty good themselves, but I was basing my take that they would win the cup largely based on the fact that Stuart Skinner is going to take another step, and I really believe in him as a goaltender.
I think if Skinner's going to take another step, he needs Campbell to help him out more and take the relief away from
he
it.
can't play as many games as he did last year.
But I think a lot of people have taken a step back on Skinner, which is kind of strange to me. Like, I fully believe in Skinner. I said he'd have a 918 save percentage this season, which is probably a little bit too high, but I think he's still the Oilers' best goaltender. And I honestly think he should have started that game the other day.
I agree with you. But I was talking to BM about it. Like, Campbell was so good in the preseason that how do you not give him that start? Like, I understand that, but obviously it's Skinner tomorrow. It has to be.
Has to be Stu tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's just no way.
But like at the same point, dueling 750s.
It was ugly, but I mean, it was ugly from a team perspective. I don't really blame either goalie.
I don't either.
Me too.
Yeah. Any other changes you'd make tomorrow outside of Stu getting the start?
I
Well,
put Ekholm in.
natural Hattie from Adam Ern coming in. Adam Ernie.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ekholm being in is just a massive, massive improvement.
But you're not like messing with the top 6 or whatever.
Not really. It's
No.
one game. Like, can we overreact? But yes, they got stomped. Yes, it was ugly.
Yep.
Yes, I was annoyed and angry.
Vancouver owns you, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, Vancouver owns
All
us
right,
on
thanks,
Wednesday.
Quad, for being here today. That's
But you can't freak out over one game. And
Nope.
frankly, if Woody freaks out over one game, that's a different issue in itself.
Yeah, and that actually is something else that kind of bugged me. I didn't like how quick he went to the blender yesterday
I
or in
hated
last
it.
game BM.
Yep.
It's like, okay, first game of the year, just because you're down 4-1 does not mean you just need to game one right back to Connor and Leon. If your scoring is struggling for 4 or 5 games or 3 or 4 games, then you can go nuclear. I really don't like the approach of just boom, blender, we're losing.
Yeah, I agree.
Before you go, Quads, just give us your Pacific Division stand-in prediction before
I have
team stumps us
Edmonton.
8-1.
I don't even care that they lost 8-1. I believe in this Oilers team. I really like. I think they are going to win the Pacific. I don't think it's going to be particularly close. Like, I know it was very close with Vegas and Edmonton last year. I think Edmonton's going to win the Pacific. Obviously, I have Vegas second. In my Canucks Army predictions, I actually had Vancouver third, and I did this before they won that game. It's not based on my belief of the Canucks or anything like that. It's just based on my opinion that the LA Kings and the Seattle Kraken are vastly overrated.
Yep.
I don't think either team had a good offseason. I actually think they all took kind of steps backwards. I really don't like Pierre-Luc Dubois. I really don't think he's as good as everybody makes him out to be.
I thought what they gave up to get, like, that's a wash.
Yeah, and I just don't think either team's improved enough. I have major questions, obviously, about the LA crease. And basically the way I look at it is that it's a toss-up for that third position between the Flames, Kings, Kraken, and Canucks. And I think the Canucks are going to come out ahead of that simply because they quite clearly have the best goaltender in the Pacific. And, of those teams for sure.
Yep.
They do.
I really like Stuart Skinner, but not as much as
Thatcher
Demko. That being said, I do think the Canucks kind of pull ahead of that group of 4 that I just listed. I just think Edmonton's going to be so far above everybody else that you're 1-2. I think it's going to be one of Vegas or Edmonton. I just think it's going to be Edmonton by, I think it's going to be at least by 6 points when all's said and done.
Damn. All right.
Sorry, do you have 2 wildcard teams from the Pacific or 1?
Yeah, it's kind of a toss-up with the Pacific and the Central in terms of the wildcard teams. I could see 1 from the Central, 1 from the Pacific as well. Like Minnesota is just always a wild card team. Like they're always going to be there, it seems.
I feel like Winnipeg could still get in this year too.
Absolutely. Yeah, I don't have a hard take on my wild card teams. I'm not going to lie to you, and I'm not going to try to sit here and give a hot take about who's going to get the wild card.
Fair enough. BM will be back with the new episode of Oilers Nation Radio in the next little bit. You had a new episode of Better Late Than Never that dropped the other day, and one of the fun things you did was talk about the best spots to enjoy a beveragino. It's going to be the topic of our big list when we move on here in a second. But your Twitter, you said, has been flooded. It's what inspired our segment today.
Twitter's fun. So I said, I don't remember even what I was talking about, but I said having a beer in the shower when you're getting ready to do something is one of the elite beers of all beers.
Yeah.
And so now I'm getting flooded with just people who are like, what about an airport beer? What about a beer after you do a bunch of yard work on a summer day? Like there's just so many good ones.
Yeah.
But
Airport
shower
beer's
beer, electric.
Yeah.
Airport beer, no matter what time of day, perfect.
Yeah. And also no matter the situation, like when you're going on vacation and you're having an airport beer, it's like you are never more relaxed than in that moment. You're through security. You know, all you got to do is take 10 steps to the gate. But even on a work trip, kind of fun to be like, it's 3:00 in the afternoon. I'm going on a work trip.
I'm working right now.
I'm going to have a brewski. All right. We're going to dig into that in just a second. Quads, thanks for popping in. I know producer Aaron went on a grocery run for you the other day. What did he get you?
Oh, man. I got to tell you, he's a great producer, first of all, of our show. He does a great job. Also, has Aaron brought up Guillaume Brisebois on any of your shows? Because we asked Aaron for his take from the preseason, like when Edmonton was in town. He goes, Guillaume Brisebois is really good. He's like the Canucks' 9th defenseman. And he's like, people are underrating Guillaume Brisebois, and I just absolutely loved it. He's the longest tenured Canuck at this point because he was drafted in 2015 and just keeps signing 2-way contracts. And it's just awesome.
I watched the tape. Okay,
it's
I watched
awesome.
the tape.
It's awesome. But yeah, he made a grocery run for me. It was so nice. Like I always get here, and as soon as I land, it's like, all right, I have no food, I have nothing, and then I have to either DoorDash it or I have to get someone to drive me somewhere, and there's no grocery stores around here. So yeah.
Hey, I got you.
All right. Well, you guys got a thing you got to get to. Thanks for hopping on and joining us. BM, thank you again for doing this on a Friday.
ONR coming up in a bit.
ONR coming up in a little bit. Quads' appearance brought to you by Star Mechanical. You can find out more by visiting them online. Edmonton's #1 plumbing and heating company. They have been dogs in the plumbing and heating game. You can trust them. Star Mechanical, Liam.
Yes. Trust them anyway. I trust them with my life, actually.
All right. It's big list time. It's big list time, and it's brought to you by our friends at Greta. No better way for you to spend a Friday night than going and shooting some hoops at Greta, having a couple beverages.
I was shooting some hoops. I was not draining them. I was shooting them. And then I did Mario Kart like 4 times on my own, to be honest, just jumped on.
I got dusted by somebody in skee ball. I got absolutely destroyed by like 10,000, 15,000 points. It was rough.
There's lots to do there. There's lots to do.
It's a good spot. All right. Our big list today, inspired by the debate on Better Late Than Never. Your top 5 spots to crush a brewski. Let's dig into it. Do we have separate lists or did we do one list?
We just did one list.
Okay.
But I want to open it up to the chat. Like BM said, Twitter's fire with these takes. Everyone let us know.
Okay, so this is our list. So I might even push back a little bit on the way we put together this list because I think mine was a little bit different. So what do we have? What do we have in our 5 spot for brewskis, Aaron?
Pre-gaming. It's all about the pre-gaming beer. And obviously I was going to pick this one. I said we should write it as pre-gaming with boardsy beers. You guys should all be cracking them at home. as we do as well. But there's nothing like a good pre-gaming. You love getting fired up. Everybody's honestly, sometimes I think the pre-drink is better than the actual like party drink when it's going on.
Yeah.
I would agree.
Me too.
I would simply agree with that statement.
I'll get really situational with this one because I know I'm going to experience it a little bit tomorrow night. But when it's a Saturday night Oilers game and you're going, like maybe you're going to the game, you're going out with the fellas, going out with your crew, sitting down for the 5 o'clock hockey night in Canada game, kicking your feet up and having a beer and just being like, oh, I got a night in front of me. That is an electric beer situation.
That is exactly what I am doing tomorrow night. And I am very excited for it. I'll be at my buddy's house at 5 p.m. ready to watch the Leaves and Wild. And I'm heading out for the Oilers game.
All right, what do we got in our number 4?
Our next one is post-athletic beer.
Yes. And I had this one in my 4 spot as well. Here's the reason why it's not higher up. When it's good, it is unbelievable.
Yes,
when you have a beer league hockey game and it went well, maybe the boys got a big win, funny shit happened. You're all sitting down in the room to joke about it. And you're at that perfect level of exhausted, but also it's beer league sports. So you didn't overly exert yourself. Perfect. But there are some times where you'll go play a slow pitch game in the summer and it's 35 degrees and maybe you ran a little bit harder than you should have and you kind of feel gross or you skated too hard in your beer league game and now you feel like throwing up because you're grossly out of shape like I am. Yep. And it's the beer's maybe not that cold.
And then you're like, I gotta have work in the morning. Why am I drinking a beer right now? Why am I having a second beer right now?
The beers were just sitting on the locker room floor. The heat was running and it's okay. So it's down at the 4 spot. I almost think you can make an argument for it to be in the 5 just because it can be a little hit or miss.
I'm with you.
That's good analysis, Tyler.
The best time, though, I do find is when you're playing outdoor sports. My indoor soccer isn't really a post-beer game. You have to go to the bar and get it. It's
you just gotta bring them in.
I don't want to get fined.
Well, you just have to bring the garbage with you. We have guys on our beer league team who their bags they clink when they walk in because they squish all their beer cans and just stuff them in one pocket and then they move it. They move.
You hear that guy walking in the rink. You're like, I like that guy over there.
That's one of our guys. All right, number 3. What do we got?
We have this was Liam's pick. So Liam, you tell everyone.
Yes, campsite setup beer.
I'm not a camper, but
it's
explain.
very specific.
You go on a long drive to, say, Jasper. Set up your tent. You kind of grinding through. You're like, holy moly, I'm getting a little tired of this. And then all of a sudden, someone cracks a beer, and then another person does, and all of a sudden, you got a nice cold, crispy one in your hand.
You got the fire getting ready to go.
It's just a moment that I think it is. You have to be almost exhausted to have it. I put this in the same category of because I just experienced this moving house. Then when you're done all day, let's have a beer. Same category as this one.
Yeah, I'm not a camper, but
you're not a camper. That's the least surprising thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, I know, right? I'm a city boy, so I can't really relate the moving one. I get any kind of physical work. What's our number 2? Because I think this one will be more. Or did you guys? Okay, shower beer. This one's lower down on the list for me.
Yes, you do have it a bit lower.
I had it in my 5 just because it is great, but also
that's twice today, Liam. What's going on with your bones?
Your
arthritis is coming.
It's good. I think maybe a hair overrated just because you're just standing in the shower. At least when you have a game on, boom, when you're with the boys after a game, everyone's sitting there. There's better scenarios. It's a great beer, but I think it's maybe a little overrated.
I'm in and out on a shower beer. I love a shower beer. It's similar to the pre-gaming beer for me. If I know I'm going out and I'm meeting someone, I'll have a shower beer.
Yeah.
But I only have a shower beer when I'm in a good mood. I won't have a shower beer for the fun of it. So
I'm not coming home from work on a Tuesday and having one in the shower.
Okay, so this is where I flip this because in the industry that we are in now, back in the day, I used to do some manual labor jobs as well as TV stuff on the side. So I'd work Monday to Friday, 10-hour day, manual labor, work hard. I would come home every day, dig in the fridge, grab 2 beers. You're dirty as all hell.
Yeah.
And I grab 2 beers and go in the shower. And I looked forward to that.
But you needed that, I guess. Yeah, physical labor.
Because you got tired. So now that we do this, I don't really drink any shower beers.
Similar to the campsite setup.
Yeah.
Physical labor.
After post labor. What's our number 1?
Our number 1 is
not what you said.
What? We did put airport beer 1. Okay, well then I got beef.
Yeah, we got honorable mentions.
Yeah, I got a couple honorable mentions. But
so airport beer. Typically you're in a good mood at the
doesn't
airport.
happen enough though.
Exactly. It's what's
why it's special. Nice.
Let's
Liam,
make it
nice.
special. When we go on our nation vacations and you got that little pub thing at the
Yeah.
Edmonton airport loaded, and maybe you're having a Caesar, maybe you're having a beer and clam, you
Mhm.
know,
Ooh, a Broj. I like a good
a
Broj.
Vogue.
No one's having that, Liam.
I like a good airport beer because it just gives you a little bit of buzz before you get on. And it tells good stories too, like yours and BMs.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Okay, Tyler, hit me with your honorable mentions.
Just give
Winter or chilly weather hot tub beer.
yeah, it's
Elite.
good. It is
If
good.
you need to have the opportunity for it, because not everyone has a hot tub. I don't have a hot tub. I don't have
either.
access to one. But when you get the chance, whether you're on vacation or you're at a buddy's, whatever, if you have a chance to be in a cold weather situation with a beer and a hot tub, that's
With your hair frozen up
Oh.
there and top. Now, I don't know, is this an old wives' tale, but doesn't drinking in a hot tub get you drunk faster?
probably.
Yeah,
I feel like that is
think
a
you
thing.
get dehydrated.
From
Or
sitting
like,
in the hot tub.
yeah, and
Yeah.
then you kind of like put in not
So if you're short on funds, you can only get a 6-pack. Just hop in the bathtub.
Get the water as hot as you
Get the
can.
water
don't
going.
put the fan on.
Yeah. Do not follow this
Sweat it
advice.
out.
Chris is in, says summer boating beer. Drive responsibly. FICO, yard work beer or hot tub beer? Post lawn mowing beer. It was my number one, and I submitted it, and you guys left it off the list.
What did I say though? What did I say when you submitted the list? I'll read it to everybody. So
Yeah,
we
you can
all
read
know.
it. And this isn't my fault. It still deserves to be up there. It's kind of like the moving and camping one, but it's a little bit more relatable and it happens more often.
But I didn't put it at number one. That's why I said to Tyler, I don't own a lawn. Stop bragging that you own a lawn.
We get it. You own a home.
We get it.
You
You're a
are a homeowner.
I know.
You're very manly. You built this brick. You did all this brick yourself.
Yeah, I get giddy when, like, on a Friday, I pull up after work and I look and I'm like, lawn could use a mow tomorrow.
You do. You,
You
talk
do.
about
I
mowing
talk
your lawn
about
at
it all
work.
the
Talk about
time.
the law.
I know. So I understand why you guys are annoyed at it, but it's great. You sit there and similar to the physical labor one, right?
Yeah.
It's hot out. You're getting a little sweaty, but then you sit there after patio and you look at the
And
grass.
yeah,
that's
you
mowed,
look at what you
and
just
you crack
did.
it. It's like, oh my God, the best.
I could see it. I've seen my dad do this. I've seen my girlfriend's dad do this. I've seen
Mhm.
multiple adult men who own homes do this. I just don't own a home.
I know.
I've actually never lived in a house beside, I guess, the house I live in now as a lawn, I suppose, but I don't own it. I've never lived in a home that has a lawn.
See, I
I've
rent.
had to
I
mow.
rent where I'm at, and when I
Yeah.
cut the lawn, it just doesn't feel the same as like when I was out at my parents' house. It'd be like, yeah, this is ours.
It's
Like
just-
this is
It's just
we
good.
did this.
Yeah. Maynard Nugent Spivey. Divorce cost me my hot tub. Don't get married, boys.
Nope.
There
Write
you have
that.
it.
Are
There
we
you have it.
writing that down? No.
Well, that makes you a big
Nuge
list.
Lover says, Tyler, that is such a dad thing to say. Yeah, like a little bit.
How many
But
kids you got, Tyler?
yeah. Hopefully none. Maynard Spivey, after 30 years of lawn mowing, it loses a bit of its luster. Yeah, I think for some people maybe. But I like having a nice
Yeah,
lawn.
you're there yet. I see here patio brews, and one that
Yeah.
really stood out to me: steam room beers.
That's such a dangerous thing to say. He's such a fancy boy.
I can't say I've ever
yeah.
tried that one, so don't knock it till you try it.
All right, we gotta move towards the end of the show here. Let's get to our Betway picks for this
Yeah.
evening. I got a couple I like. Last night I missed on the Jackets money line and the Devils puck line, but I nailed Jack Hughes to pop one home.
Yeah,
So
I got-
shout out to that.
I got Jack Hughes as well, and then I also made a couple on the Vegas game. I got
Oh, yeah.
Vegas puck line.
Did they win?
Yep,
Oh, nice.
4-1, 5-1,
Oh, yeah.
I think. Petrangelo took holy moly, he took a big shot to the head from a puck. So somehow Petrangelo was doing the screen in front and he was coming across. And I think it was Haig took a slap shot and he deflected off the
Ooh.
San Jose stick. And it caught him so hard. It hit his visor, thankfully. But he caught his visor so hard that he cut his head.
Oh wow.
And he put the visor, his helmet on the ground, and you could literally see blood on his visor. It was a crazy little thing. He was fine. But yeah, I took puck line, Vegas, and then I also did a little parlay of Vegas to win in regulation and over 2.5 goals.
Yeah.
Minus 125, I think.
Nice.
So not bad. So I did actually okay yesterday. Not on my NFL pick. So that game was horrendous. And I will be declaring this right now. No more Thursday night betting.
Okay.
I feel like I
Oh,
just
till next
chase
week.
it on Thursday.
But if
Till
Matt-
next week.
Yeah, that's the thing. until we get another good matchup. All right, tonight NHL hockey, Coyotes money line. That is a spot I like. It's 2-1. They're taking on the Devils, playing back to backs. Yotes starting their season. I think this is a nice spot.
Yeah, I don't hate that. I'm just questioning.
Got to chase the
Yotes
juice a
little
little
bit.
on a Friday night.
I think I'm going to go back to the Devils, though, and probably go with a Jesper Bratt goal. Plus 175. I don't hate that. And also, Clayton Keller goal is plus 140. But I have beef with the schedule again tonight. What are we doing here? Friday night hockey.
First Friday night, and you have 2 games.
There's no late game. The Anaheim Ducks have not played a game yet. I get it. They're not headliner. You could have made that home opener against
You could have
Vegas
just
or
put more
something.
games on tonight.
Yeah, you could have done something.
Yep. I agree with
We
you.
have every single team playing tomorrow.
Yeah. I'm also doing a shot prop parlay. Gensel Meyer. It pays out about 2 to 1.
Ooh, I like that.
Meyer missed it in game 1, but Gensel smoked it. So I like the bounce back spot on one end, and I like Jake Gensel in most games too. To
I
shot
like
prop.
Gensel. I will be looking. I got to look more into
Did
it.
Gensel hit the shot prop
Crosby.
game 1?
Okay, quickly. Oh man, we're running out of time. Favorite NFL bets this weekend, boys?
Detroit to win against Tampa. I believe it's 3.5. I think Detroit healthy.
Down to an even 3 now, actually.
Even 3. I'm going to take that money.
Yeah,
and
because
run
that's
with it. They're healthy. They didn't play Gibbs and St. Brown last week.
yeah. Amon Ra's back.
I think it was because they played Tampa Bay this week and they played Carolina the week before.
I don't mind that Detroit play at all. Aaron, is there anything you like?
Lock of the week, Eagles over Jets. Don't overthink it. It's simple. I think the line's minus 6.5.
Mm-hmm.
But the Bills play the Giants. The line is 15, I believe.
You can't touch it.
14,
That's insane. That's
but
an
no-
insane
no
amount of
Daniel
points.
Jones. Daniel Jones
Oh,
is
That's
out.
still so many points. They're grown men on the
I
other
know.
side. Like that.
Okay, so then I'll hit you with this then. I like giving out the teaser bets.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
almost had that one yesterday, but there were so many red zone turnovers.
It was
That
crazy.
kills you. I know, but when you have the over and you red zone, there was like 3 or 4 of them. It's like 7,
Yeah.
14, 21, 28. Like they left probably 20 points on the board in those red zone turnovers.
I
And
agree.
then the amount of times KC would like get to the 4 and not score. Damn,
It's
killed it.
crazy. They could not score a touchdown.
But the over or the teaser I like this week. No Danny Dimes. Take the Bills, tease them down to 8.5. They'll win that game by 10.
There you go.
I don't know about 14.5. Like that is so aggressive, but they'll win it by 10. I also like taking the Rams from -7 to -1 against the Cardinals. So if you can,
Division game. I always get worried around division games.
and then there's a couple other spots I think are decent. Which one's the third leg I want to throw in
I
though?
would tease down the 49ers.
I think
Deshaun
the-
is out.
Yeah,
No Deshaun Watson. They're playing PJ Walker.
yeah. So take that down to a 3-point game.
Yeah,
Niners should roll them.
something like
Yeah.
that.
Okay. Boom. There's your 3 legs for your teaser for the week. Shout out to Betway 19 plus.
Ooh,
Please
my
play
final one?
responsibly.
Chargers plus 115 Monday night against Cowboys.
Oh, Gavin's pissed.
I have
Oh.
one as well before we close out.
Oh my god, we have so many bets.
Houston plus 1.5. It's the Saints, who arguably might be the 3rd worst team in the league.
And they just beat the Patriots
You
really,
are the
really
2nd
bad.
worst team in the league.
Yeah. All right. People are asking in the chat what's going on with the Oilers tomorrow. Yes, Ekholm is expected to play. Adam Ernie is expected to be signed to a contract. Stuart Skinner is expected to get the start tomorrow for the Edmonton Oilers. Marcus Niemelainen was placed on waivers earlier today. Will there be an ON Everyday tomorrow? No, we are not doing ON Everydays on game day because pre-gaming with Boardsy, myself and Aaron Bordato, my boy, we're going to be live an hour right up till puck drop.
Yep, we certainly are. We're going to be teasing it up again. We're going to be presenting a couple bets we like for the game. And we're just going to come talk some oil, come hang out in the chats. And then we got After Dark after the
Mhm.
game. And I believe I am joined once again by Bag Milk himself.
Yeah, so you, Gavin, Bag Milk on the post game, me, you, and our boy Pat Puff on the pre-game. That'll get rolling at 7 o'clock tomorrow. So we'll even have some early games to talk about tomorrow leading into the Oilers' big
sweet.
Saturday nighter, which will be a lot of fun.
Leafs are going to lose. It's going to be sweet.
Alberta Blue Cross, they want to protect your memories. ab.bluecross.ca/travel. Only one thing better than sharing memories. That's making new ones. My favorite memory was when Quads, like a child, put on the crown. He was distracted by something shiny. He acted on it. I kind of respect it, and it was hilarious.
My favorite memory was our big list.
That was
I
fun.
think that was a good little review of a good place to drink beers.
Always a good time to review beers before you head into the weekend.
Yeah, that is a good.
Couldn't
That's a
agree
good
more.
Friday.
Yep,
That's a good
Friday
Friday
segment.
thing. My favorite memory, thank you, Alberta Blue Cross, would have been when Quad said he's not a fan of the Canucks, and then said that Quinn Hughes and Philip Roenick will be the best pairing in the NHL. That's
And then-
a little too
and
much
then-
Kool-Aid,
and then
buddy. You're
said-
cut off.
And then said my Canucks like a minute later. I was like, Quad, come on, buddy. Mike D, aren't you at the game tomorrow, Tyler? Yes, I will be. But luckily, our office is like 6 minutes away from the arena. So I can do a pregame show, dart my way up the hill. Also, shout out to my dad who was in the comments.
Yeah, I
today.
saw Ross in there too.
Yeah.
Hey,
Very good.
Hi, Tyler's dad.
All right. Let's wrap up this episode of the show from the Sports Closet studio. Sherwood Ford pregame show tomorrow. It's pregaming with Boardsy. We got Greta. We got Star Mechanical, Betway, Alberta Blue Cross, and Century Mile Racetrack and Casino. You were all dogs in the YouTube chat today. We hope to see you tomorrow on pregaming. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button before you go, and we'll see you all Monday, 12:01 Mountain Time.
Talk tomorrow.
Thank you for watching Oilers Nation Every Day. Hit the subscribe button to never miss a show. And for more, visit OilersNation.com.